I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Now, today we're reading from the book of Jeremiah, chapter 48. Let's focus on verses 10 through 13. The one who does the Lord's business deceitfully is cursed, and the one who withholds his sword from bloodshed is cursed. Moab has been left quiet since his youth, settled like wine on its dregs. He hasn't been poured from one container to another or gone into exile. So his taste has remained the same, and his aroma hasn't changed. Therefore, look, the days are coming. This is the Lord's declaration, when I will send those to him who will pour him out. They will empty his containers and smash his jars. Moab will be put to shame because of Chemosh, just as the house of Israel was put to shame because of Bethel, that they trusted in. You see, there's always a war going on somewhere. And even if you're not a member of the armed forces, you have to recognize at least that you are a citizen of a country that's pretty much always at war with somebody. I'm not a professional warrior, but I do know that soldiers amid battle do not take their jobs lightly, and especially those who have a higher probability of becoming casualties. Warfare demands the blood of the enemy before the enemy spills your blood. It's bloody business. And today's passage begins with a reminder that we are, by the way, in the midst of a spiritual war. Spiritual warfare, and it's warfare nonetheless. And that is, we must realize that Satan is our mortal enemy and sin is his weapon. And he will never cease his efforts to kill us. So why do we keep trying to negotiate peace with our sin? Why do we search for a compromise that will allow us to retain pet sins? Oh, we'll give up most of them, but I'm keeping this one. Why do we treat so carelessly the Lord's command that we who bear his name be personally holy? Is that too much if you're going to bear the name of the Lord to be like the Lord? You see, the Lord alone is holy, and his business is making his holiness known. And he will not stand for anyone or anything to steal the worship that is rightfully his. So by tempting us to sin, Satan seeks to steal worship from God, separating us from the Lord. That's his goal. If he can't separate you from heaven, he'll separate you from being effective for the kingdom. And if we are truly to be about the Lord's business, then our business should be comprised of, number one, directing worship toward the Lord. And number two, doing away with sin in our lives. That's what our business is. Your business is to direct worship toward the Lord and to do away with sin in your life. The sin that Moab, Israel, and all the nations were judged for was idolatry. Moab had abundant money, power, and resources, and they attributed their success to their non-God, a non-God named Chemosh. And each nation held their hometown gods. At Bethel, Israel also worshiped pagan gods, both foreign and of their own design. God's indictment was that all of Israel had taken his business carelessly. They had withheld his word, the sword, from its rightful task, which is intended to drive out sin from among his people, killing it, as it were. The word of God kills sin if you'll receive it and apply it to your life. So how seriously are you at taking the Lord's business in your life? Are you seeking his word daily? Do you allow it to embolden you to trust God and put away your idols, as it were? Because those things are the things that you ascribe power and worship to instead of God. So let's remember the first commandment. There's only one God, which leads to the second commandment. Don't make any more, which leads to the third commandment, which is don't receive the Lord's name in vain. Don't say that you're called by the Lord, and yet you live as if you're still in love with the world. I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Now, Groundworks Ministries operates entirely through financial donations from faithful people like you. And yes, we do need your monthly support. Donating is secure and it's easy at our website, groundworksministries.com. You know, another way to help is just tell people about Groundworks Ministries. Share these podcasts with friends and family and on your social media. And of course, you can always direct folks to our website, groundworksministries.com.